I'm Emily T. Gail, and I just had a delightful afternoon up here, 1301 3rd Street, the Detroit Police Safety Building. What's the name of it, Jeffrey?
The
The building
Detroit Public Safety Headquarters.
headquarters. And in it, on the 3rd floor, is the Detroit Police Museum.
Yes.
And Jeffrey, wow, he's been collecting. Was a police officer.
Yes.
And he's been
27
collecting
years.
how many years?
27.
He's been collecting the history and the archives, and boy, they've done a nice job up here at the museum. I just had a wonderful afternoon. I ran into a couple people, Catherine and Marilyn Mayberry. They happened to bring a photo in from 1917 when their relative was in the police academy. So tell us about the police museum. I know people can get items online. It's been nice to see how many people are coming in here and buying shirts and mugs.
Yeah,
and
we have a gift shop that we've opened. We opened a museum May 12th of this year. It's very much a work in progress. We try to add new things every day. We're going to try and start rotating some of the displays around so that when you come in, you don't see the same thing that you saw maybe the last time. There are going to be things that are stationary. The motorcycle in here, I'm not moving that again. But we're trying to highlight different groups, different units, different clubs. There was so much rich history in the department. They had a huge clown troupe at one time. Most people don't even know that they had a huge clown troupe. The field day, all the things.
What about the pigs? The
blue pigs.
The blue pigs. We used to have them play at our fun run at the Emily Detroit runs.
They just last year dissolved the blue pigs.
Okay.
One of the original guys was still in it, and he retired and just was done. So, I mean, they were around from the 70s till just a couple of years ago, and still playing events.
Well, they were a big part of a lot of things we did at all our Emily Detroit
absolutely.
runs.
They did all the runs, and they went to schools and different downtown functions, and it was a great public relations.
Absolutely.
In fact, that was why it started, to try and bring a little more public relations to the citizens back in the 70s, and that when most people were not necessarily great with the police, but
well, that's how late 70s. We made a shirt that we sold out of Emily's across the street, and it said had little pigs all over it. It said Detroit Cops are tops, and we supported the superstars, which was the police officers that would go be in the police Olympics in Toronto or wherever they were. Policemen came from all over the country.
Right. That started out as a field day. Those were actually the tug of war team and a track team. And later they just became the superstars when, there wasn't the big group of them. They did, some of the guys did both. They pulled the rope and then they'd go run a quarter mile, and so they became the superstars.
And I remember, well, I have a picture here. I won't interrupt to go grab it because it's a picture of the guys from 1979, and I've had it on my wall for years. And in it is Isaiah McKinnon, Ike McKinnon, who's now the deputy mayor, but he became the police chief. He had just been in the force a few years, was a cop on the beat, would come in the store, and Emily's across the street, and always encouraged me, and I've stayed in touch with him, and that's been fun. Of course, I took him a new T-shirt recently.
He's been in the
nice
museum
things
a couple
about
times, and he in fact was a supporter when they opened the museum had 1300 Bobby, and he was the chief of police then, and so it was kind of near and dear to his heart, I guess. So he came through, and
we need to mention that Chris Gorski from Detroit GT is making the Detroit Cops Are Top shirt, and also we've got the bumper stickers, and there's some of the proceeds coming to the museum.
Yep, he also did one of our other shirts.
Let's go over and take a look at that, and if you got a Detroit Cops Are Top one too.
Here's the other shirt that
Chris is doing, so you can get that at Rust Belt.
Yeah.
You can come up here to the museum as well and get them.
Yes.
And so Chris is pretty excited about that. And here's the Detroit Cops Are Tops.
Here's the Detroit Cops
and
Are
I love it
Tops.
because it's got my name on it and Detroit GT. And Chris and I are both very excited about this. Yep. And and what we're excited about is that you're excited.
Well, I think it's really truly the city has a long way to go, but it is starting to turn around.
And he's got the mug, and while I was in here, I saw somebody buying the mug.
Yep.
So it's a good
So
reaction.
things are doing really well, and I said we're just trying to promote the rich history. Of course, this is the 150th anniversary of the Detroit Police Department. So we had a big blue ball in February. There was over 1,000 people at the ball. So a very high class operation, and myself and couple other collectors had set up a big display, and some of my friends have old Detroit police cars. They brought those into Cobo Hall, and we had a big display, and it just was a fabulous event. So they're starting to do, this was one of the other things that they wanted to do for the anniversary, is to make sure that the museum was up and running again.
Well, it's wonderful. I mean, the little things in the cabinet, like I said, what's that Marlboro cigarette case? And you said it's a camera.
It's a little camera used for surveillance. So, and this year they're going to do the field day again. It's September 12th, and it's going to be at the Butzel Center down at Linden and Myers.
Okay, great.
And it's not going to be the big gala like they used to have, but it's a start.
It's a start, right.
It's really in celebration of the 150th anniversary in the history of the department.
And your history, Jeffrey Lemaux, here at the Detroit Police Museum at 1301 Beaubien on the 3rd floor.
1301 3rd Street.
3rd Street, yeah, 1301 3rd Street. Beaubien is where the precinct headquarters was.
Where
I spent a lot of time when the police were so supportive, and we would be mapping out the Emily Detroit run routes and everything. And so tell us, you were
I was a second generation police officer. My father was on for 34 years. I did 27 years with the police department and retired about 3 years ago. And got hooked up with the foundation when they had the big ball they wanted to display. And then when Chief Craig got in, he was also very interested in getting the museum up and running.
Well, Catherine tells me that when she met you, she said, we have got to have him involved in the museum, because you had been saving archives and history and researching.
I've been collecting Detroit police memorabilia for 30 years. So some of the collection is here in his mind. A couple other things other collectors have loaned, other people have loaned. The department still had some stuff left from the last museum, so we're using all the resources we can to try and give the rich history and an idea of how things progress through the police department.
And this facility is really the consolidation of what was at 1300 Beaubien, the police headquarters, and the fire headquarters at Larned and what would that be? Washington Boulevard in Larned. I love that old building.
And then this is also the State Police Crime Lab.
Okay.
So they're down here on 3rd floor.
And what a wonderful facility. When I walked in on the wall, and you don't think about it, people killed in the line of duty back in 1926, photographs of everybody all the way up to
and people don't understand, when you see the wall, it's very sobering how many officers in Detroit, you see throughout the country. You would think Chicago and New York, those were a lot of officers lost, but they're also much bigger departments in Chicago and especially New York.
Well, I counted it. I went 1, 2, 3, 4 times 14. And then I realized, wow, that was just about one segment of years. And all of a sudden I went down and I saw there was another wall of them.
And there's another wall,
and another wall,
and another wall.
So it was very sobering.
Yep, the first policeman that we lost was in 1883. It was George Kimball, was shot in the alley. The crime was never solved. So I'm trying to remember the number, and I think it's 239 or 40.
Well, Jeffrey, this is my first visit, and of course, Chris Gorski from Detroit GT has the Detroit Cops Are Tops and the bumper stickers, and there'll be other places, but more importantly, come up to the museum, 1301 3rd Street. And this is a beautiful building. You really get a sense of the consolidation is great. It tells a story.
You do have to make sure you have some type of photo ID to get in the building. Right. So that's a big thing with the security getting in the building. We are sponsored through the Detroit Public Safety Foundation.
And that would be Catherine.
That would be Catherine.
Catherine Govan.
So we have an online store there too that you can visit and click on it and buy items from the museum. Detroit Public Safety Foundation.com.
Probably.
I think
you can just Google it. That's what I did.
Yep.
Okay, well, Jeffrey, thank you for the warm welcome. And I've had police officers come in here, and Mike came in and said, will you do a segment for us? And it's been absolutely wonderful, heartwarming.
Some of the younger people don't have a clue where you are, but us older type people go, Emily Gail. I remember Emily Gail.
Well, Marilyn, she kept looking at me and said, you Emily Gail, the one that came in with the photograph from her grandfather in 1917. Well, I really appreciate it, and we both say, Detroit Cops Are Tops.